With the 2025 SCAC Men's and Women's Golf Tournament Championships from Lake Whitney, Texas at White Bluff Golf Resort, I'm joined by the University of St. Thomas head men's and women's golf coach Billy Tuten. Coach Tuten and his Celts on the men's side picking up their second SCAC championship in the last 3 years. An outstanding day from your group, Coach. First of all, just congratulations.
Thank you, Russell. I appreciate it.
Wire-to-wire victory, really impressive. And really felt like 3 very different days of golf. You kind of go back to that first round, super windy. Yesterday, moving day, scoring was a little bit better. Of course, today there's pressure. It's Championship Tuesday, and it feels different regardless. What did you learn about your team this week? It was really impressive, from top to bottom with your guys.
Well, one thing I learned is that they're very resilient because we hadn't been, we've been close all year, finishing 3rd and 4th, and maybe we're near the lead, but we hadn't carried a lead into the last round. And to see us finish it off and finally win a tournament, is very satisfying because we didn't win a tournament all year. But I knew we were good enough. Yeah. And damn it, we did it. And,
yeah.
And it feels good. I'm really happy for them. They've put in the hard work and persevered, and it was fun to watch.
Coach, it's funny. I think back to when we sat down for media days a little over a month ago, and you were coming off a really tough, team performance out on the West Coast. But the one thing that really stuck out with me is you still really believed in this group. You said to me, Russell, we're going to get it together. We're going to figure this out. We've got a month. We're going to get this, turned around, and I think we're going to be ready to play at this conference championship. Talk about the work that's been done over the last month or so with these guys. What did you see from them, and was this a performance that you felt was inside of them coming into this week?
Yeah, I never had a doubt that we could play this well and win. There's no secret sauce out there. We practice things individually. Sure. Obviously, golfers have some individual technical issues they need to get better at. We talk about the mental part, and I don't think we let one poor tournament, ruin a pretty good year. Yeah. Even though at that time we hadn't won anything yet.
Right. An outstanding performance from the group. I want to ask a little about your sophomore, Antonio Ramirez, who comes out here, SCAC individual medalist, birdies the final 3 holes to, as I say, put his stamp and legacy in this championship and in this week. What did you see from Antonio? How impressive was he throughout the course of the week, and how proud are you of him to come out here with the individual medal honors?
Yeah, Antonio's he's just a steady individual. Yeah. Very level-headed every day. Works hard, works smart, got a pretty maintenance-free golf swing, and obviously he's a great competitor. Kind of a nice guy, just kind of goes along, but he's deep down inside. He loves to compete, and I was very happy to see him birdie the last 3 holes, believe me.
I think, in a time like this, one of the guys I think about is your senior captain and Cameron Curtis, and he talked about how, a couple of years ago when he went through this experience as an underclassman in 2023, how it was, some of the most special times in his life as a golfer and having the opportunity to play the NCAAs, and he felt so strongly as a leader that this group could get it done, and now you have that opportunity again. How excited for this group to head to the NCAAs, and what did you learn from your experience last time that maybe you'll shift up or try to change differently going into this championship?
Just to speak to this year, I've got a bunch of guys over there that have never, maybe outside of Antonio, have never really won a lot. Antonio won some individual tournaments, and I kept telling them, "Hey guys, we're good enough. Yeah, we finished 3rd. We had a bad round here and there, but we're good enough." And I truly believe that, and we did the work that we needed to do to get better. Mental work, physical work, just being good teammates and, stuff like that. And as far as what I can learn from last tournament, when we went in 23 up in Lexington, that's to be determined.
Yeah.
I do know, being a golfer, I'm already concerned about us playing on the bluegrass rough up there in Rochester. Been in that area, know what it's like. And I'm like, oh my God, now I've got to teach my golfers how to play out of bluegrass rough. And they have these spruce trees in the rough that you get behind, you can't go under them and through them and all that. But we're going to enjoy this one, and I'll have them ready up there.
Finally, Coach, just a couple of last reflections on how special today was. I'm interested just from your perspective as the coach of this. I'm following it from behind. I'm watching the live scores, and it's going up 5, and then all of a sudden you start to lose, and then you find yourself in second place, and there's a big swing, and then you're back up into first place, and it's back and forth. And how are you kind of in that moment controlling yourself, and how are you kind of helping these guys sort of navigate through that situation?
Yeah.
Or are you just trying to just say, hey, let's just focus one shot at a time, and we'll let the chips fall with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of coaches do, and I do. We did it this morning. Usually we do it the night before, but we got the pin sheet out. We went over.
Yep.
We talked about, what pins did not go after,
Sure.
where to play safe, and all that. We talked about this is going to be a different golf course today. The wind's blowing from a different direction, so you're going to have to, think a little bit. You're going to be hitting clubs you aren't used to hitting on certain holes, because you don't want something to sneak up on them and surprise them.
Yep.
And then, I remember I was at the 6th tee, and I looked at my iPad, and I was looking at the scores, and I knew before I looked things weren't going well, and I saw we had lost 10 shots, 11. We were like 4 or 5 behind, and but I was still kind of calm. I thought, number one, I've got a better team than this. There's no way we're all going to shoot 88 today,
Sure.
or what it looked like. And so I didn't do anything special in coaching. I didn't really say anything to him. I just kind of went through the normal thing. And, we started making some birdies and pars and less big numbers, and we just kind of got back in there. And then on the back 9, it turned our way, and then it got close. And obviously it's a team win, but it sure helped having Antonio birdie 16,
Sure.
17, and 18.
Yeah, well, the 16 was a big hole for this group. I think
we had 4 birdies.
all
yeah.
4 birdies. 16 was big. I don't know what you said about 16 or what the game plan was on 16, but it was executed to perfection with this group out there.
No, I didn't really game plan 16 today, other than just be conservative off the tee and don't drive the ball. Try to drive it way down the hill.
Yeah.
And keep it up top, and then they did what they do, and executed, and it worked. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it worked today, and I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to be around these men for another month.
University of St. Thomas head men's golf coach Billy Tuten, Coach Tuten and his Celts picking up their 2nd SCAC men's golf tournament championship in the last 3 years, guaranteeing them a spot at the 2025 NCAA championships. Coach, congratulations on a great week, and best of luck as you head to nationals.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Appreciate it.